Back in 2009, I discovered my very first creepypasta. I was still pretty new to the internet and very new to fandom stuff, only 11 years old. I loved all things Sonic, watching cool videos and playing fan-made Flash games, and making my very own Sonic OCs, edgy as they may have been. One day I stumbled on a funky little dude known as the Tails doll. I don't really remember what specific video I watched that introduced the little guy to me, but it was absolutely too scary for the soft kid I was back then. I watched a ton of different videos on it back in the day, mostly just different slideshows of stolen art set to Can You Feel the Sunshine, or videos on the Tails doll by Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers. I'm sure you know what he is by now, but for those of you who don't, the Tails doll is an unlockable character in one of the first 3D Sonic games ever, Sonic R. Sonic R is a little racing game with tank controls for some reason. A few levels, weather, unlockable characters, and an absolutely banging soundtrack. Seriously, I could listen to these things all day. The Tails doll is unlockable in the Radical City stage. You've got to collect the 5 tokens scattered around the level and then finish the race in first place. After you do that, then you have to race the Tails doll and kick his little twin tail to unlock him. He's not the best character to play as, in my opinion, but pretty fun. You can float above the water, and if he loses, he just dies. The little guy just lays down and accepts his fate, and I respect that. It's not really known when the original creepypasta about him was written, or even who wrote it, but from what I can find online, the most popular version of it was written by someone named Rebecca G, where a dad buys Sonic R for his son. The kid beats it, and after the credits, this image appears. The kid goes to bed, and the dad decides to play the tag game mode on it, and plays as the Tails doll. He has fun till he catches up with Sonic, at which point the game shuts off. Dude doesn't try to reboot the game or troubleshoot at all, he just goes to bed. At like 2 a.m., the dude hears thumping on his door and assumes it's his son, tells him to go to bed. It doesn't stop, and at this point, the thought Tails keeps appearing in this dude's head. He sees a little shadow under the crack of the door. The dad opens the door, and it's, of course, the Tails doll, who's covered in blood and tells the guy, "You're coming with me, forever!" It's not the best, but it scared the absolute shit out of little me. I remember there being a few different ways to summon him, the most widely known one being to tag Super Sonic 3 times as the Tails doll. Your TV would switch to the checkerboard image, and then he'd come out of the TV and get ya! I didn't have Sonic R as a kid, so the one I'm most familiar with is the Bloody Mary ripoff. You go into your bathroom, turn off the light, and play Can You Feel the Sunshine backwards. And when you did it right, because there are a few different ways to do it, you'll see his little gem light up in your mirror. And then, he gets ya! I told my best friend about all of this, and he and I just added into the ever-growing lore of us playing together pretending to be ROCs. Something I don't really see anyone talk about anymore is a few fan animations of the games that I was just obsessed with. Like the animations of the Tails doll in the beloved Sonic Shorts Flash collabs. Those are, and always have been, up on Newgrounds. You still have to make sure the format is set back to Flash instead of video, but they're there. The first Easter egg has been screenshot, recorded, re-uploaded everywhere, and I'd be really surprised if you haven't seen this one by now. It's from Sonic Shorts 2, and you can find it by clicking on Sonic's head in the scene where a bird pecks on him. The second one isn't hidden. It's at the end of Sonic Shorts 3, after the last clip with Big and Froggy. It has a lot of flashing lights, so beware if you're sensitive to that. It extends into the credits, and after them for a cute little bit with Marine. The next one's just a regular one, in Sonic Shorts 4, and it features the Chaotix, where Charmy plays a little trick on Vector and Espio. The next Easter egg comes from Sonic Shorts 5. This one's a little tricky. You've got to click on the static that comes up in between the Smash Bros animation where Knuckles punches Sonic and the censor bar one. The last Easter egg in the short series is from Short 6, and you'll need to click on Mario when it switches over the Rainbow Road. In Knuckles Briefs, made by the same creators as the short series, you can see our favorite funky little dude in the trash can, his favorite song on the wall, and in the supervillain animation, if you click on the incredibly artistic Vector, you get the Knuckles doll. The Knuckles doll isn't official, he was just for this specific little series, as far as I know. One of the animators for the shorts, B00zerman, made a couple of animations for 2 years at the Summer of Sonic convention. They're up on his channel and linked in the description. There's also a couple of Flash games that still hold up to this day. The Tails Nightmare series, made by The Blocks. In Tails Nightmare 1, you play as Tails, and you're in his nightmare! It plays like a normal 2D Sonic game. The controls are simple and feel nice. Tails gets a cool rocket move, and you have to platform and make your way to the boss room at the end, where you fight, surprise surprise, the Tails doll. After you beat him, you get a little cutscene where Tails wakes up and the Tails doll appears behind him. Tails Nightmare 2 is larger than 1. There's more platforming and it's more challenging than the first, as you'd expect. It's also got a few passwords, all findable in the game, one of which lets you play as the funky little guy himself. These days he's usually paired up with another creepypasta, Sonic.exe, rather than just by himself. For me, the Tails doll isn't really scary anymore. Honestly, now he's just a funky little dude. Hell, I made one a little while ago, and he gets to sit on my desk and hang out. He's got plastic beans in him, so he's got some weight to him. He ain't perfect, but he's made with love. And I think that's enough. Hey, thanks for watching my first video ever! Don't forget to check out the Sonic Shorts and Tails Nightmare series. There's so much love put into them, and that's very clear even to this day. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch, and Mastodon. A very special thanks to my love, who encouraged me to start this channel, the whole crew at Sonic Paradox for making something that brought me so much joy as a kid, and finally, you for watching this video. Take care, guys.